Yo, welcome in homie. I wanna kick this video off on the Epic Store with a total of 4 juicy free games to claim this week. Felix the Reaper, Idle Champions, ScourgeBringer and Song of Silence, of which the developer actually reached out to me and was like, "Hey Sickfishsticks, I love your stuff, do you want a CD key? Because I love you long time." But before we get to the love story of Songs of Silence, let's kick off with Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, which is a Dungeons and Dragons strategy management game uniting characters from throughout the D&D multiverse in a grand adventure. The Idle Champions, I really have no idea what I'm looking at. I mean, it's sitting in with mostly positive reviews on Steam, which is surprising in my brain, so I guess some people like it. I guess the game does what it advertises and does it fairly well. It gives all of the correct dopamine injections to your lizard brain to thrive, and that's about all I have to say about this juicy goodness. And alongside Idle Champions, you can also claim Felix the Reaper, which is a challenging single-player puzzle game. You take on the role as Felix, whose job it is to make sure that people, well, die. And to do this, Felix must work in the shadows and rearrange fate, so death is always the end result. And at its core, the game is about manipulating shadows so that Felix can set up his targets safely covered by the shadows. The core gameplay has a Hitman, Go-ish, Monument Valleying and Sokoban-like simplicity running through it. And from what I understand, there are a total of 3 rules that you have to master to become a successful Reaper. Firstly, stick to the shadows. Secondly, control said shadows, and thirdly, make sure people don't make it out. Felix the Reaper is currently sitting in with very positive reviews on Steam with a total of 200-ish reviews. And then, starting the 13th of November, you can claim ScourgeBringer, which is a fast-paced, free-moving roguelike platformer. Here you get to help Kyra to explore the unknown and slash her juicy way through ancient machines guarding the seal of her even juicier past. 1100 total reviews send ScourgeBringer into the realm of very positive on Steam. And ScourgeBringer will try to keep your heart racing as you struggle to keep up with its frantic pace. However, once you manage it, you'll kinda be addicted. It's truly unforgiving, just like my ex-girlfriend Gertrude. And each area has its own learning curve, and the tolerances of error is fairly minor, resulting in a satisfying experience once you complete it. And in fairness, who doesn't like satisfying experiences? Next up, I want to move to Song of Silence, which is also free to claim on the Epic Store starting November 13th. But more importantly, they took my sponsored virginity and I don't want it back. Here you'll have the pleasure to lead armies, rebuild fallen kingdoms and rise to the inevitable greatness that you deserve. I mean, you get to embark on an epic journey through an Art Nouveau inspired fantasy world with intense battles and captivating storytelling. I must say the art style on this bad boy is super juicy, and it's easy for anyone who has eyes to see that the developers poured a lot of love into this game, and for that they get a star in my book. The gameplay reminds me of Heroes of Might and Magic with a twist of deck and base building. The combat is interesting as the units have their own opinion and you have to more or less get on a supporting role using cards and spells to tilt the battle in your favor. And I love the mix of genres and depth that the developers have added to the game, not to mention the just one more turn please mommy before I log off kind of feeling. And for it to be giving out for the amazing asking price of $0, it's a clear win-win in today's video. And a huge thank you for the developers of Song of Silence for taking the time to listen to my bullshit, find my email, send me a nice email and a CD key attached and all of that. It's much appreciated. Next up, take my sweaty hands and join me on Steam where you can play as Sonic in the Ultimate Arcade Royale where up to 32 players battle for glory in this free-to-play cross-platforming game. According to the developer, it's not just a race, it's a rumble. Here you'll get to dash, spin and speed through iconic stages while mastering skills in the chaos of Dr. Eggman's toy world. From Green Hill Zone to Sky Sanctuary, experience the distinctive high-speed Sonic gameplay in familiar and all-new levels. And this is where the goddamn fun ends, because Sonic Rumble is sitting in with mixed reviews due to their absurd greed and pay-to-win game mechanics that the developer felt like shoving down your goddamn throat. Listen, I'm serious here. In a world where you can get a whole fully featured actual fun racing game for less than the price of 2 skins in this game is just mind-boggling. I mean, some skins are going for $20. I mean, idiotic, borderline annoying. I do not know what to say about this shit. But I'm done. Let's move on to the next. Next up, a game that made my left eyeball bleed in HyperDemon PvP. HyperDemon PvP is a free online 1 vs 1 first-person shooter. You get to master simple but deep mechanics and defeat opponents in intense duels to climb the global leaderboards. I think there needs to be an epilepsy warning before turning this juicy title on, because holy eyeballs does this make my eyes hurt. But I guess it falls under the fun but painful on the eyes category. HyperDemon PvP is fairly straightforward and is currently sitting in with very positive reviews on Steam despite the blowing eyeballs across the world. Next up, I want to take a look at Salvagers, and in Salvagers you command a small crew of greedy explorers that land on an abandoned space station that litter the galaxy, and it's your job to loot them for anything worth a credit. Scrap tech, lost weapons, forgotten treasures, everything has a price, so don't let anything slip. Here you'll have the pleasure of traveling from system to system, upgrading your gear and expanding your crew. But be aware, each station hides its own dangers where you get to face off against aliens, zombies, ex-girlfriends, rogue AIs and the Federation agents. The cool thing is that with randomized station layouts, loot and weapon upgrade system, each run becomes unique. It's great for replayability, so Salvagers is currently sitting in with the positive reviews. Next up, I want to get your eyeballs on a time-sensitive deal with the OneShift, which is free to claim until Monday the 10th of November at 7 PM. OneShift is a puzzle platformer where the player has the ability to freeze and unfreeze time and shift through worlds to collect what looks like blue cubes. The cool thing is that only one world can be active at a time. And later in the game, a world rotating mechanic is unraveled to give your explosion of the brain super juicy and everything more complex. Since I have your undivided attention, I wanted to do a quick honorable mention section of free games you might have missed to spice up the week, and we start with Handshake, where you'll have the pleasure of taking your brain for a walk, a simple yet tricky Sokoban puzzle game. Here you get to guide 2 hands through puzzles designed to stump rather than frustrate. It's cute and shouldn't be too difficult even if you haven't been very nice to your head/brain growing up. It's probably one of the nicest handshakes I've ever seen. To be honest, I'm kinda running out of words and mental power to write more about this game. It's sitting in with overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, so they're off to a good start, and if you're interested in a puzzle or handshaker over there, then handshake yourself over to Steam and have a look. Next up, Love Thyself, a Jesus, what the hell happened to my mouth? A Horatio story. This is a special one. Love Thyself presents a brief but fascinating glimpse into what living surrounded by identical idiots, clones in a futuristic space society might actually look like. And to be honest, the forehead game is strong with this one. It's thick and I would double it down and give it to the next person. In the Endless Universe, Horatio is a race of clones of one man who considered himself perfect enough to warrant creating a whole race of himself. And here you play as a failed Horatio clone where something went wrong in the memory implementation phase, so you can now be anyone you like a Horatio or a Horatio. So if we break this down and I understand this correctly, you get to meet and date several lovely characters like Horatio 1, Horatio 2, Horatio 3, and let's not forget the lovely Horatio 4. It's literally a game about falling in love with your goddamn self. And to be fair, a 10 out of 10 would date myself again. It's a great game. And who would have known that all I needed in my life was a visual novel dating sim about egotistical space clones and an amazing forehead slightly smaller than my own. And last but not least, let's have a look at Postmouse, and man does this bad boy impress. There's something special here and I'm not sure what it is. Is it camera work, world design, minimal UI, something, and because I really felt kinda tiny during my brief time with this, and that's difficult for a troll like myself. Here you'll have the pleasure of joining Postmouse on their very first journey to deliver mail in a treacherous world unfit for such a tiny cute mouse. You get to explore ruins, meet charming characters and solve interesting puzzles. When I was a student around the time when Jesus was walking on earth, I could barely get dressed in the morning. So for a student game, this is really impressive. It should take you around 30 minutes to complete, unless you're a bit thick, then add an extra 30 minutes. And that pretty much brings us to the end of today's video. Thank you 10.5 billion times for taking the time to watch my video, it's really appreciated. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't, subscribe if you haven't, like it, why not? Thanks a lot for watching and I'll see your beautiful faces in the next one. Peace out.